Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 71 of The World Which Is. It might help if I went to the top. Come on. There we go. I settle my breathing as I raise the bow. Line up the shot at the deer grazing in the meadow. I wrote this as if there was going to be a third clause. I settle my breathing as I raise the bow and line up the shot at the deer grazing in the meadow. I almost release the arrow, but it raises its head, looking around. I wait, keeping an eye on my draining stamina. It's not fast, but it is noticeable. There's only so long I can hold the tension until my arm will shake. It lowers its head again to graze. I realign. Why are you not aligned? Okay, why are you not liking this? Well, deal with it later. I realign my aim, then release the arrow. I hit it, and instead of running off, it startles, then falls to the ground. Your archery skill has gone up. You are now level 20. I stare at the dead animal through the message, too surprised by what happened to think of dismissing it. Then I grin. I one-shot it. It's what I was trying to do, but the head's hard to hit. Until now, my attempts have resulted in complete miss or hitting somewhere else and having to track it until it settles so I can take a second shot. That's good by itself. My tracking skill is still way too low compared to the rest, even with now being at 13. I've spent the last 10 days training hard. One-shotting everything I aim at is the goal, but it's going to be a long time before that's reliable. As good as this kill feels, it was mostly luck. I crouch and study the hit, in the eye and through the brain. Very lucky. The smart thing to do is to loot the corpse and keep hunting. With effort, I get the carcass over my shoulder, but I don't get to shoot. That's going to be different. But I don't get to show the others this shot if I do that. Sounds increase as the trees thin. The pace we agreed on put us closer to the Toledo trading camp than I'd like. Close enough for the voices to carry when the wind's right, like it is now. Toledo is a camp instead of a town, even with all the people living here, because it doesn't have a settlement node. If it did, it wouldn't be considered wilderness. Brandon says there used to be a city here, but it either didn't get a node when the system appeared or something happened to it. The one story I have of something happening to a node is one Base heard of. A city where the rules don't work the same way as anywhere else. Even the people living there were different until they were pulled out of the city zone. He doesn't know how that happened. Since no one knows how the system works, he says it's impossible for anyone to figure out what's wrong with that city. There was talk of stopping there for the day. There is too vague at the camp. There was talk of stopping at the camp for the day. As busy as it is, Brandon assured me that if I wanted, there would be some place with rooms for us. I didn't want to. Brandon went along with what I want again. Silver didn't care either way, which left Ellen. It was clear she wanted to. She doesn't like roughing it the way we've been doing. I even offered for her to take a room while we stopped on the other side of the camp where we are now. But as much as she doesn't like roughing it, she doesn't want to be alone even more. Brendan almost said something about that, but one glare on my part kept him quiet. It's been proving more effective since Detroit. The mighty hunter returns, he announces without looking up from his book. And victorious at that. I drop the deer next to him. Take a look at that. He looks, at first amused, then whistles. Congratulations. What happens? What happened? Silver joins us, leaving an annoyed Ellen where they'd been practicing. He one-shot it, Brendan says with pride, which is harder than you think. I got lucky, I reply. Oh, that's for sure, but it means your skill's now high enough. Your skill is now high enough. That's a possibility. It's been one since his skill passed 13, Ellen calls. Come on, Silver. You need to keep practicing. It's not working, she replies. I just don't get what you're explaining. Then you need to work at it harder. It's just a question of time until you get a level. Maybe she's just not magical, I offer. She can already do magic, Ellen counters, so she can learn this. How about you two take a break? Brendan says. How about you mind your own business? She replies harshly. That's enough, Ellen, I say before Brendan can escalate. Silver, do you want to keep training tonight? No, I haven't been able to focus for the last hour. I have too much music in my head. Then call it done for the day. I lower my voice. Don't let Ellen push you around. She means well, but her outlook on life is different than yours. Ellen fumes silently. You going to loot it or butcher it? Brendan asks. Going to get more usable meat out of looting it, he snorts as I sigh. It's not like we need more meat. His cooking skill's higher than mine, and mine is high enough I can mostly smoke jerky without rendering it inedible. With all the hunting I've been doing as training, we have enough jerky to last us until the system vanishes, and butchering is a good skill to have when dealing with high-level monsters. Court as butchers just to go through the monsters after a wave. I change into the dirtiest pants of pants I have. They've been cleaned each time we've stopped by water, but they've become my de facto butchering pants, and there's only so much blood water can get out of them. I catch Silver glancing at me, then hurriedly looking away as I carry the carcass away from the fire and them. I chuckle to myself. Breakfast is stew Brendan had simmering over the fire all night, made from the many chunks of meat, resulting in my atrocious butchering attempt. With a carcass the size of the deer, I ended up with not even a train of cuts that could then be sliced thinner to smoke. Doesn't mean the rest is unusable, just not easily usable or particularly tasty. Gristle isn't something I have the cooking level to deal with. Stew isn't as easy as it looks to get right. At least if you want to enjoy the experience of eating it. What Brandon manages to make with that, a few spices and thyme, is something I don't mind eating each morning. Brandon, I start while we eat, since you're familiar with St. Louis, why aren't we heading there directly, like we did with Denver? Because the wilderness between here and that city is nothing like what we went through. We were never so far from a settlement or an official's road that the wilderness level became more than I could deal with. Down here, there are places without settlements or roads for hundreds of kilometers around. That means creatures potentially in the fifth, sixth, or higher trains. Even Ellen, with her destructive magic, can't deal with one of those. Only the stupid travel that far from anything. Or the brave? Silver asks. Brendan snorts. I've yet to hear of anyone returning from a venture that far, so I'm sticking with stupid. So we go through Wayne, then Indianapolis, and then St. Louis? I asked to confirm the plan. Are we stopping at any of those places? Ellen asks. and her attempt at sounding casual comes across as forced. Brandon either doesn't notice or more likely ignores it. We're going to have to stop in St. Louis. We need information about Route 31 south of there. I've traveled it, but nothing jumped out at me as unusual. Even if they don't know about the ruin itself, there will be something. Those places don't exist without affecting the area around them. They're like cities in that way. They change the wilderness the closer to them you get. What's Wayne like? I ask. Farming town, maybe 500 people, but fields as far as you can see. He nods toward Toledo. More people in this place than there. Do they have places to stay? He chuckles. There's always places to stay. People staying means people spending money. Not that a place like that has much interesting to spend on. There is a stop on the outskirt if you want. Getting a room shouldn't be a problem. Most caravans go to Indianapolis through Columbus outside of harvest season. And that's about a train days away. A train days away from here. How far to Indianapolis from there? At the speed we're traveling, 2 trains, maybe a bit more. And that's going to have places to stay. Brendan laughed. It's got a club, so a place to stay isn't going to be a problem. How does it compare to Detroit? Anywhere is better than Detroit, he replied somberly. But is it a decent place to spend a few days? Yes, it's a good city, all things considered. Are you okay with waiting until we're in Indianapolis? I asked Ellen. If we can stop at some of the stops before that, yes. I want a proper bath, at least. The next stop is at Wayne, Brendan says. Anything before that is like this. He motions to the area of packed dirt we spent the night on. She isn't happy, but nods. We finish eating and are in the process of packing up when someone calls out a hello. I'm in armor before I'm done turning, and the Minotaur takes a hurried step back with a nervous chuckle. Sorry, she says. I didn't mean to startle you. Well, you did, Brandon answers in a casual tone. He isn't in armor, but he's ready to fight. Sorry? She repeats. Aren't you... Are... Yeah, that's an R. Are you heading toward Wayne or coming from here? Brandon. No. She's dressed casually enough for travel. Her leather armor is more supple than hard. There's a hammer at her hip, but it doesn't look like it's ever been used. Ellen. Don't be an ass, Bran. The problem is that it's just what I can see. I have no way of knowing what's in her inventory or if she has a second equipment build like me and Brandon have. With that, she could be ready to attack us as she took a step toward us. I hate that I'm seeing the potential threat instead of just another traveler. I should let her travel with us just for seeing her that way. I'm sorry, I say, but we're traveling on our own. I almost changed my mind at her disappointment. I want to change my mind, but losing safety to having a stranger around while we sleep is too much. Even with keeping watch, I don't know what level she is, what her skills are. She might be able to take me and Silver on with ease. Okay, good travel then. She gives us a small wave and walks on. Was that? I'm not taking a chance with our safety. I cut Ellen off harshly as I watched the Minotaur. Only once I can't see her anymore do we get back to packing and then traveling. And that concludes chapter 71 of The World Which Is. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the story, it is up for free on Royal Road. If you want to support me and read ahead of Royal Road, that is on my Patreon, where we're about 10 chapters ahead. That's a lot of ahead. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.